Hello YouTubers, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to make a quick challenge video. This is to visit another player's shelter. Yes, I know this is a very simple challenge, but for those new players that are just coming into the game, that don't know what a shelter is, I'll quickly cover that, but then I will show you how to quickly find another shelter. Hopefully without too much aggravation, because there's a couple of things that you need to know. Is if a player locks their shelter, it will not show up. If you join a public group, it'll look like that player does not have a shelter. It's locked, so no point actually going to the person's camp and trying to look. If you join a public group, you'll see, obviously you expect everyone, and I would expect everyone to have a shelter, but some people actually will keep it locked. So you want to go to the ones that do have a shelter if you want to do this challenge. But the challenge we're going to do today quickly is to visit another player's shelter. So let's do that, and then I'll talk a little bit about how to get a shelter if you don't have one already. So when you join a public group, and very easy, let's quickly go through that. Most people should know this. You just go to your tab here, and you'll see there's a bunch of groups. Look for the team that has obviously enough room for you, and then has the most people on it, because chances are you're going to actually find a shelter with one of those members. If it's only you and another person, and that they may not necessarily have a shelter, right? So when we look at this player shelter, which is my other character in this case, you'll notice there's an icon, and that tells me I have a shelter there, right? If you look at a regular player's icon, well, let's actually look at another team player's icon. Yeah, let's see if we can see if they all have shelters, if we can find their camps. Okay, so there's another player here that has a shelter. And if they don't have a shelter or it is locked, you'll just see the regular icon that just looks like a V if it's a vendor, or it's just going to be a tent, which is one without a vendor player. I don't actually see one. I don't see where the other one is. More than likely, I can't see it quickly because he's probably sitting on it, or it is one that has a shelter. But it'll just show up as yellow. It'll be green. Sorry, it'll be yellow. It'll just be a V in most cases, or it's going to be a yellow tent, right? So it looks like, oh yeah, it is, I think. No, that's mine. So no. Anyway, let's move on. So that's how you can tell that it has a shelter. And then, of course, once you have a shelter, sometimes it's a little tricky to find the shelters. In this case, the shelter for me is right over here. You just look for one of these. It's either going to be buried in concrete. And yes, you can actually bury it in concrete. You just put the shelter down first, and then you put the concrete slab on top of it. You can't actually, unfortunately, bury the shelter in a pre-existing concrete slab. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. I don't know why they kind of overlooked that. You should be able to just drop it into any concrete foundation, and all we're going to do is enter that shelter for this challenge. Very easy peasy, no sweat, right? Always remember to have your food buffs. I recommend cranberry relish. Very easy to do. Once we're in the shelter, it should mark on our scoreboard, or our challenge rather. You have now visited a player shelter. Very easy to do, right? As I mentioned, I'll just give you a couple more tips around that, not specific to the shelter, is to actually make cranberry relish. Let me go back to my Pip-Boy here, and you'll notice my cranberry relish in this case gives me bonus XP of 25%. Just kind of bear in mind that number may change depending on what your specialty is. In my case, my intelligence is 26. If you have a lower intelligence, it might be slightly less. It might be 10%. So just kind of keep that in mind. Try and keep your intelligence high if you are doing the score runs. The more intelligence you have, the more XP you're going to get, and the quicker you're going to get through the scoreboard, right? So that's important. And of course, there's the sleep, the well-rested bonus, which is just really sleeping in a bed. You get sort of that 5% XP. Those are the minimal that you should do. You can do, if you don't have the relish recipe, which can be gotten from the chef at the White Spring Resort, you can just do cranberry cobbler. So you have by default you can make cranberry cobbler, which is just getting some cranberry relish. cranberries and some wood, and you can make some cobbler. Very easy to do. So have those two at a minimum. And of course, there's other food buffs and other pieces of gear that you can actually use and increase those food buffs. And then lastly, let's just quickly cover how to get a shelter if you don't have one. There are posters in train stations. Just go to a train station. You'll see on the wall there is a poster for starting the quest to get a shelter. There's a poster in the Atomic Shop which you can just put in your camp, or if you see it in somebody's camp, you can start that way. It literally takes under a minute to do the quest. It's very quick and easy. All that quest is going to do is going to point you up to Vault 51. You go in, you speak to Clark. Clark tells you to register. You register on the computer, and you go speak to Clark, and you now have your shelter that you can build at your camp. Very easy. Just come to your shelter, place it down, and voila, you have your shelter. So that's all I got for this video. I hope that you found it useful. If you hit the like button. Again, this is obviously for all new levels. You know, I expect most people would have covered this, but if not, I shouldn't be killing him because I'm supposed to be one of my brethren, right? Yeah? Brethren. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good one. Thanks. Bye.